The NFL draft is coming up in just a couple of days, but only a handful of these guys will actually become NFL stars. But it's not always the ones that we would expect. Most recently, Puka Nacua, who was drafted by the Rams in the 5th round with the 177th overall pick, had one of the best seasons ever by a wide receiver. We've also seen Brock Purdy lead the 49ers to 2 NFC Championship games and a Super Bowl appearance after he was drafted with the last pick in the 2022 NFL draft. So to continue to prove why we should all be paying attention to the draft even on day 3, here are 5 of the best late round picks in the history of the NFL. Starting off my list, I have the recently retired Jason Kelce. Jason Kelce was drafted in the 6th round with the 191st overall pick in the 2011 NFL draft. After dealing with injuries in the beginning of his career, Kelce did not miss a single game after the 2014 NFL season. In 2018, he won the Super Bowl with the Eagles and gave one of the wildest speeches ever at the team's parade in Philadelphia. He also became a key part in one of the cheesiest plays in NFL history that has taken the league by storm, the tush push. Jason Kelce announced his retirement in March of this year. He was selected to 7 Pro Bowls and was first team All-Pro 6 times in his career, and he is widely regarded as one of the best centers of all time. Next up, I have Terrell Davis. The Broncos drafted Terrell Davis with the 196th overall pick in the 1995 NFL draft. During his time with the Georgia Bulldogs, Davis did not have a single season where he ran for over 1,000 yards, but immediately in his rookie season in the NFL, he ran for over 1,100 yards, allowing him to become the lowest drafted player to ever total 1,000 rush yards in their rookie year. Over the next 3 years of his career, Davis would have one of the most dominant stretches ever by a running back. In just his 2nd season in the NFL, Terrell Davis ran for over 1,500 yards and 13 touchdowns and won the NFL's Offensive Player of the Year award. In his 3rd season, he ran for 1,700 yards and 15 touchdowns and led the Broncos to the Super Bowl, where he ran for 157 yards and 3 touchdowns despite missing the entire 2nd quarter due to a migraine he was dealing with during the game. Davis was named the Super Bowl MVP after that performance. And then in 1998, he had a historic season where he ran for over 2,000 yards and 21 touchdowns. He was the 4th player ever to run for 2,000 yards in a single season. And his 1998 performance earned him the NFL's MVP award, and he was also named the NFL's Offensive Player of the Year for the 2nd time in his career. Oh, and he also led the Broncos to back-to-back championships. His 7 consecutive postseason games with 100 rushing yards are the most in NFL history. Terrell Davis is also still the only player to ever run for 2,000 yards and 20 touchdowns in a single season. Despite having his career cut short due to injuries, Terrell Davis was elected into the Pro Football Hall of Fame in 2017. Not bad for a guy who was taken in the 6th round. Next up, I have another Bronco, Shannon Sharpe. In 1990, the Denver Broncos drafted Shannon Sharpe in the 7th round with the 192nd overall pick. Despite putting up some impressive numbers, Sharpe wasn't a highly touted prospect coming out of college. He played in Division II at Savannah State University, and he was also considered to be undersized for a tight end, at 6'2" and 230 pounds. Back in the early days of the NFL, the tight end position was used primarily as an extra blocker. It was pretty rare to run an offensive system where your tight end was primarily used as a receiver. So the Broncos decided to move Shannon Sharpe to wide receiver for the first 2 years of his career. However, his production was lackluster as a wide receiver, so going into his 3rd season, the Broncos moved him back to tight end. And after having only 29 receptions in his first 2 seasons combined, Sharpe began to make an impact for the team as he caught 53 passes for over 600 yards. And after his impressive season as a tight end, Sharpe became an integral part of the Broncos offense and soon became one of John Elway's favorite targets. Sharpe ended his career with 8 Pro Bowl appearances, 4 first-team All-Pro selections, and 3 Super Bowl victories. Shannon Sharpe was also the first tight end to ever surpass 10,000 career receiving yards. Next up, I have probably one of the most insane NFL come-up stories Kurt Warner. While he was at Northern Iowa University, Warner didn't earn his chance to become the starting quarterback until his senior season, where he threw for a very modest 2,700 yards and 17 touchdowns. This led to him going undrafted in the 1994 NFL Draft. Despite going undrafted, Warner was invited to try out for the Green Bay Packers during training camp. He ultimately was released before the end of camp. Following his release from the Packers, Warner turned to working at a grocery store where he stocked shelves for $5.50 an hour. In 1995, Warner decided he would try his luck in the Arena Football League, where he led the Iowa Barnstormers to back-to-back AFL championships in 1996 and 1997. This brought him a little bit more attention from the NFL, but going into 1998, he was sent to play in the NFL Europe League, where he played for the Amsterdam Admirals. Warner led the league in passing yards and touchdowns in 1998, which earned him an opportunity to become the St. Louis Rams' third-string quarterback. Heading into 1999, the Rams signed Trent Green and named him the starting quarterback going into the season. However, Green suffered a season-ending knee injury in the preseason, which meant that Kurt Warner was now the only quarterback on the Rams roster. This was the opportunity that Warner had been waiting for. In his first season as a starting quarterback in the NFL, Kurt Warner completed 65% of his passes for over 4,500 yards and 41 touchdowns. And in just his first season as an NFL starting quarterback, he was named the league MVP. Warner's magical season extended into the postseason as well, where he led the Rams to a Super Bowl victory against the Tennessee Titans, where he threw for a whopping 414 yards and 2 touchdowns. After that performance, he was named the Super Bowl MVP. So in just over 5 years, Kurt Warner went from stocking shelves at a grocery store for $5.50 an hour to a Super Bowl champion, a Super Bowl MVP, and an NFL MVP in 5 years. Warner was named the NFL's MVP for the second time in 2001 and appeared in 2 more Super Bowls while losing both of them. He was only the second quarterback in NFL history to take 2 different teams to the Super Bowl. Kurt Warner was inducted into the Pro Football Hall of Fame in 2017, putting the cherry on top to one of the most unprecedented careers in the history of professional sports. And finally, you can't make a list about the greatest late round draft picks in NFL history without putting Tom Brady on the list. We've all heard this story a billion times, but we all know that Tom Brady is undoubtedly the greatest late round pick in the history of professional football. Drafted with the 199th overall pick in the year 2000, Brady was not ever expected to touch an NFL field. In New England, he was behind former number 1 overall pick Drew Bledsoe, who had just led the Patriots to their first Super Bowl appearance in 1996. Going into the 2001 NFL season, Bledsoe signed a 10-year, $102 million contract, which at the time was an NFL record. However, in week 2, Drew Bledsoe was hit on the sideline and suffered a major injury in his chest. So, as we all know, Tom Brady got his chance to play in the NFL. And he went on to have one of the most illustrious careers in the history of professional sports. Brady won the Super Bowl in 3 of his first 4 seasons in the league. He led the NFL in passing touchdowns 5 times, which is an NFL record. He has thrown for more yards and more touchdowns than anyone in NFL history. He was the league MVP 3 times, and his 5 Super Bowl MVPs are the most ever. He's the only quarterback to win a Super Bowl in the AFC and the NFC. His 58 game-winning drives are the most in NFL history. He made the Pro Bowl 15 times, which is also the most in NFL history. He also led the league in passing yards at age 44 and won his final Super Bowl at age 43. And in total, he has 7 Super Bowl victories, which is more than any other NFL franchise, easily making him not only the greatest late round draft pick of all time, but probably the greatest player in the history of the NFL. And there are plenty more guys who were late round draft picks who turned out to have really good NFL careers. So as the NFL draft begins this upcoming Thursday, let's all keep in mind that it's a marathon, not a race. And even if your favorite team does not have a first round pick this year, they can still potentially land the best player in this year's draft. Let me know in the comments who you think is going to be this year's steal of the draft. If you enjoyed enjoyed this video, please make sure to leave a like and subscribe for more NFL content. And as always, thank you all so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.